Hello, welcome to this first battle report of SoloHammer. It could be a battle between the Space Marines and the Death Watch. My Primaris Eagle Marines will take on a patrol of Death Watch, and to start from the beginning so that I relearn the rules, because it feels that long since the last game. Start at the beginning, combat patrol, incisive attack. Okay, next I'll show you the two armies that will fight it out. Okay, first we have the Space Marines, and the patrol of the Eagle Marines is led by Captain Tiberius Calgar, and he'll be the warlord. He's carrying, he's wearing the armour Indomitus as his relic. And his warlord trait is Adept of the Codex, which is what I traditionally take. So I'll continue to use that. I never remember to farm the command points, but maybe this time I will. With him are just two squads of intercessors. Squad 1, which was the original squad that I bought and built, and that was with the launch of 8th edition, all WYSIWYG with just normal bolt rifles. And then the second squad, bought later and built, was to include 2 grenade launchers, but again they're just with standard bolt rifles. So yeah, for the first game, all easy to remember, standard forces. The incisive attack mission includes the secondary objective surgical assault, so they'll be taking that as a secondary objective, along with engage on all fronts and assassinate, and just because they'll be easy to keep track of and easy for me to remember, as I'm trying to get back into 9th edition. Okay, that's it for the Space Marines. Let's take a look at the Death Watch. Okay, here we have the forces of the Death Watch. These are led by a Captain Farius Black, who is an Ultramarine captain, so he has to be the warlord with Adept of the Codex. With him are 2 Fortis kill teams, which are 2 squads of 5 Primaris. Each sergeant has an auto bolt rifle. Each squad has a stalker bolt rifle and a grenade launcher, and then the rest have got the standard bolt rifle. So again, simple for me to try and remember as I bed in the rules and remember what each unit does. The reason I chose the Death Watch, incidentally, is because it's the only other 9th edition codex that I have, and if you've seen other videos on my channel, then you'll know that I haven't really got any Xenos forces to bring against the Space Marines, so it's a marine on marine battle, but that's good for me, because it'll mean that I'll get to familiarise myself with the troops, the weapons, and what they're capable of as I work through this campaign. Okay, so the other squad accompanying the captain is Death Watch Terminators, squad of 6. There's 2 heavy flamers in there, and the sergeant's got Thunderhammer and Storm Shield, and they've got a teleport homer, which I've never actually used in a battle, but it might become relevant. I might start using it. I'll see how we go. So they're the two forces, and I'll go on to deployment. Okay, so the armies have been deployed. The battlefield here is symmetrical, so neither side should gain a particular advantage. In order to create a bit of a narrative, there's a story in the background. So Captain Tiberius Calgar of the 12th Company Eagle Marines was with a small retinue on Novax 4, investigating reports that an alien technology had been discovered by planetary archaeologists at an old abandoned city. Reports from the battle barge arrived to say that black-clad Marines were inbound, potentially Black Legion, who were a long-time foe of the Eagle Marines and the 12th Company in particular. Whereas the Captain Black of the Death Watch was sent to the planet in order to investigate reports from the planetary governor that an unheard of Space Marine chapter were acting suspiciously and investigating alien technologies. Inquisitor Kovan sent Captain Black and an away team to the planet to investigate. So that's the story, and let's see how it plays out. Okay, so Tiberius Calgar won the roll-off, and so battle round 1, turn 1 for the Space Marines, and command phase. There's 1 CP because of Battle Forged, which makes 13. So yeah, I'm going to use 12 CP per side. There were no CP spent pre-battle. The reason for this is learning the stratagems, when and how to use them, is part of this exercise. So I thought I'd start off with 12 CP each, but command phase and 1 CP is gained by the Space Marines. Okay, moving on to the movement phase. Okay, this is the start of the movement phase, and the plan is to talk through the plans of the commanders. So we can see here that Tiberius is looking after the second squad of his intercessors. They're the ones with the grenade launchers, so they will benefit from his hit rerolls. Basically, in this mission as well, it's sweep and clear, so that any objective that begins with an army stays with them until it's captured by the other side. There is this objective, some alien information downloaded onto the data screen there, but the objective in the deployment zone will stay with the Space Marines until captured by the other side, even if they move off it. So this squad, you'll see they've got the other objective in their sights. At the moment there's blocking line of sight, so there's nothing else that they can see, so they're going to have to move out. So this is the plan and updates at the end of the movement phase. Okay, here we are after the Space Marine movement phase. Calgar ordered his Squad 2 to divide and form into 2 squads. Even though I didn't declare this at the start of the game, I thought that as the Space Marines had fewer squads and actually only 3 units, it would be difficult to complete any mission in 9th edition. So for the first 2 or 3 missions, until more units are added, making the narrative decision that the intercessor squads can begin as 10 man, and if they choose, divide into 5-man squads at any point during the battle, and that's what Squad 2 has chosen to do. Both are still in range of the captain, although there's still not a lot that they can do or see. They're still in control of this objective, and Squad 1 chose to advance. They rolled a 2, which has brought them up to this objective, and they can just see some black-clad Marines up ahead, but the slow advance of the Space Marines is at the end of their movement phase. Okay, there is no psychic phase, of course, no psychers on the table, so this is the beginning of the shooting phase, and again, tell you the plan and tell you the outcome. So very few targets. I think that the Space Marines here can not see the black-clad Marines behind the containers and in the building, whereas the squad here through the ruins and over the Imperial statue can see some Terminator Marines up ahead, so they're going to shoot at those. I'm pretty certain that the captain's bolt rifle, auto bolt rifle, it comes with a special one, isn't in range, so just they will fire, but they have got the grenade launchers in that squad, so they may do some damage on the Terminators. We'll find out. And then as these advanced, they're just going to hold the ground for now. So let's see what happens in the shooting phase. Okay, end of the shooting phase, and it was completely ineffectual. The mastercrafted auto bolt rifle of the captain had 3 shots, and he was sitting on 2s, they all hit, but it failed to wound the Terminators, and the 2 crack grenades from the squad also failed to wound, and the 3 single shot at this range bolt rifles also failed to have an impact on the Terminators, and as they were the only units eligible to fire in the shooting phase, that ends the shooting phase. Is of course nothing that can charge, and therefore nothing that can fight. There's no morale, so this is the end of the Space Marines turn 1. and let's see how the Death Watch fare in their turn war. Okay, here we are in turn 1 for the Death Watch. Captain Farius Black has not spent any command points in the command phase, so let's well, again he will gain 1 command point for being battle forged, so that is now 13 command points in his pool, but that's the end of the command phase. Moving on to the movement phase. Okay, here we are at the end of the Death Watch movement phase. The squad here moved out of the ruin. They didn't advance, so they can shoot. They should be in range for the double tap from their rapid fire weapons, but they have got a Stalker bolt rifle, which obviously was heavy and moved, but it is Devastator Doctrine, so there'll be an additional -1 AP. The Terminators shuffled forward. Not sure yet if they're in flamer range and they're heavy flamers. Very much doubt it, but I'm sure that they'll do some damage when they get into range of the Marines ahead of them. And the other Fortis kill team exited the ruins, took some cover behind the crates. Captain followed them up, and obviously he'll give them some rerolls in the shooting phase if they are in range to target the Marines that they can see at the other side of the battlefield. So that's the end of the Death Watch movement phase. Moving on to the shooting phase. Okay, here we are at the end of the Death Watch shooting phase. There is just 1 dead Marine that resulted in fire from the Fortis kill team here on the left. The fire from this Fortis kill team was totally ineffectual. It was at long range, but the even the sort of command rerolls, captain rerolls, the shots failed to cause any damage. Similarly, the heavy flamers were out of range, so there were just 3 storm bolters that were able to shoot. But again, the saving throw rolls from the intercessors meant that no wounds were scored. But the kill team here, being at closer range, there was a crack grenade went in, that didn't do anything, and the Stalker bolt rifle didn't wound either, but the assault, the auto bolt rifle and the other bolt rifles did some work and managed to fell one of the Space Marines. So that's the end of the Death Watch shooting phase and the end of their turn. So next up we'll see how the Space Marines do in their turn 2. Okay, this is the beginning of battle round 2, and it's turn 2 for the Space Marines and Tiberius Calgar. So command phase, and gets another command point. My intention to learn the game by using loads of command points and stratagems has not panned out so far, as Tiberius didn't use any in battle round 1. So hopefully, and fingers crossed, I can remember some appropriate ones to use in this turn, even if they're command rerolls, which I wasn't intending to use, so that I could use some more interesting stratagems to see how they work. But we'll see how we go. So I think this is the end of the command phase for Space Marines in turn 2. Right, it's the beginning of the movement phase for the Space Marines in turn 2. I'm just going to talk through the plan and the intentions. So because the intercessors are divided into 2 battle squads in their last turn, one can hold the objective, even though moving off would still mean they retain it. I'm going to perhaps keep them behind, and Tiberius and his smaller band of merry men can go after the objective in the open up there. And this squad, full 10-man squad. Oh, sorry, no, 9-man squad now. They did lose a man in the last battle round. They can go up and hold the objective while hiding behind the cover, I think. So that's the intention. So see you at the end of the movement phase. Okay, at the end of the movement phase, the Space Marines have shuffled up a bit. So Tiberius ordered his combat squad of Marines to move forward, but stay out of line of sight of some black armoured Marines up ahead. They're still visible to the Terminator squad, still short of their objective to go after this objective. The other combat squad shuffled into the ruins. They are still holding this objective, and can still see most of the Terminators there, Terminator squad. So try to remember to use a stratagem to double shoot them at least this turn. And this squad have shuffled up, as it is still a almost full strength squad. They couldn't remain out of sight behind the terrain, so it made sense to put them all in a position where they could shoot and shoot twice at the exposed Marines ahead of them. So that's what they intend to do. Again, there is no psychic phase, so we'll go straight on to the shooting phase for the Space Marines in turn 2. Just before I go on to the shooting phase, thought it might be worth mentioning the scores so far. So nothing was scored in the first battle round, just 5 points for the primary objective at the end of the command phase for this round 2. No secondary objectives scored yet, which just as a reminder for the Marines is Assassinate, which obviously scored at the end of the battle, and obviously Engage on all fronts, well short of that at the moment, and that'll be scored at the end of the turn, but might be the end of turn 3 or 4 or never. And then similarly Surgical Assault, which is the munition specific objective, which means that the Space Marines have somehow got to get all the way up there and score 5 victory points for that that objective. So low scoring round at the moment, and just a quick round up, but now onto the shooting phase for the Space Marines. Okay, this is the end of the shooting phase for the Space Marines in turn 2. You can see that that squad was untouched because the blocking of line of sight. The Terminators lost 2 wounds despite a couple of crack missiles coming in and crack grenades. The Ultramarines chapter, what would you call it? Chapter trait meant it was as if they'd stood still in the tactical doctrine, so they got to shoot twice. But the Marines in the Ruins, I think there's only one in range, rapid fire, to shoot twice. But with all the volume of fire, they just chipped a couple of wounds, partly through to abysmal rolling, partly through to, despite the tactical doctrine, meaning the bolt rifles had -2 AP, the saving throws of 4 upon the Terminators saved them. So that was not much damage done to that unit, but over here this unit managed to wipe out the intercessors that were ahead of them. They used 2 CP to shoot twice, and yep, they did half the wounds in the first round of shootings and half the wounds in the second round. They just scored exactly what they needed to wipe the unit, which means they're decently in control of this side of the board and of that objective. So providing nothing disastrous happens, which I can't see it doing, they'll be up for 10 points next turn. But this ends the Space Marine turn 2, and we'll move around and see what Captain Black of the Death Watch has planned as retaliation. Okay. Okay, this is the command phase for the Death Watch, and Farius Black is looking ahead and planning what he might be able to achieve. Obviously the objective is in reach of the squad of intercessors, which will probably accompany. It seems like the Terminators are fairly impervious to the shooting from the normal intercessors, and even crack grenades are bouncing off them, and they've got a couple of heavy flames in there that need to do some work. But the Marines behind the crates are possibly not going to be able to be touched by them this turn. We'll have to see how they go. See how it plays out. But at the beginning of the command phase, they got another CP, taking them up to 13, and they've scored 5 for the objective back in their deployment zone. And again, secondary objectives that are slay the warlord. Well, that's not going to happen yet. And the line breaker, similarly, quite a bit away from achieving that one. And then again, the rule to take the secondary, the mission specific objective is to try and get that for 5 points seems just a bit out of reach at this point in time, but I think these Terminators might do some work with their flamers, etc., if they can get hold of the squad of intercessors there. But we'll see as we go on to the movement phase for the Death Watch here in turn 2. Okay, this is the end of the movement phase for the Death Watch in turn 2. And the Terminators, rather than using their 5-inch movement to head left, just move straight forward. Transpires that the flamer there can, with his 12-inch range, reach out and touch the Space Marines behind the crates. The other flamer's not in range of anything, but yeah, Storm Bolters might do a little bit of work against the Marines out in the open there, and Captain Black and his intercessors moved forward to claim this objective, and they're all within sight of that Unit 2. And I think that in the shooting phase they may be maybe also using to elect to shoot twice. And I'll have to look at the weapon stats, because obviously they've got assault and rapid fire and a heavy weapon in the squad, and it might be that to put them in multiple doctrines could be a thing, although it might have to be done in the command phase. I'll have to check that. Okay, so this is the end of the movement phase, and I'll come back to you after the shooting phase. Okay, join me midway through the shooting phase for the Death Watch, and this little lot have completely whiffed. The captain with his Storm Bolter completely failed to cause any wounds, and then obviously a mixed squad with Stalker Bolt Rifle, Sergeant's got a rapid assault bolter, auto bolt rifle, 2 normal bolt rifles, crack grenade from the launcher. Yeah, all failed to do any damage onto the squad in front of them, so we'll be using 2 CP for them to shoot again, and coincidentally remembering again that the Warlord trait will allow the captain to try and regain those spent points, but coincidentally the Captain Tiberius completely failed to regain his, and then we'll see how the Terminators doing their shooting. So come back to you after this. Okay, here we are at the end of the shooting phase for the Death Watch. So 2 CP spent to shoot the intercessors again, and the captain with his Ultramarine Warlord trait, Adept to the Covex, got to recover 1 of those. So the intercessors all shot twice, and again they all pretty much whiffed, apart from the rapid fire bolt rifles, which took a wound off one of the squad ahead of them. Then we came round to the Terminators, and the heavy flamer on the left fired left and managed to fell one of the squad there, whereas all the others shot to their right, including the flamer, which was in range, which is Brother Garon, actually, Salamander, and yeah, he managed to take the remaining wound off the injured intercessor. Then in came the Storm Bolters from the lads behind, and they managed to fell an additional intercessor. So might be a bit some morale to take, but will come back at the end of the Death Watch turn 2. Yeah, so a quick double check. The Ultramarine Inheritors of the Primarch means that they're leadership 9 with the Sergeant there, so there's no way they could fail, having lost two of their number. Even though it's a sort of combat squad, and it was originally a full squad of 10, yeah, they weren't going to run. I'll have to double check and clarify the rule as to what happens with combat squads. I know they should be done at the beginning of the game, but I just thought for this combat patrol I'd keep it flexible and permit full squads to combat squad if they chose to mid-game. Anyway, end of the Death Watch turn 2. No morale, only one lost here, so I'll come back to you with the start of battle round 3. Okay, here we are at the beginning of battle round 3, which means the Space Marines turn 3, and Tiberius Calgar is planning his moves. So he lost 2 of the squad that was with him, so will he have enough to take on the captain and the black clad intercessors up ahead, who are obviously holding that objective? He himself has managed to secure 10 victory points at the beginning of the turn in the command phase because of continuing to hold this objective and currently holding that objective. So the plan is to move off, I think, and pursue the Marines up there, even though they're outnumbered. With a round of shooting, or maybe 2 rounds of shooting, with the stratagem, they may whittle the 5 intercessors down a bit, and then it'll be a fair fight in the charge and fight phase, perhaps with his help. We'll see. This squad, I think the plan will be to lend a bit of fire support over to the left, because it's already proven that their weapons are not particularly useful for whittling down the Terminators, who yeah, coming forward, they're not quite over the halfway line into. I'll have to double check the line breaker secondary objective conditions, but if it's just to get into the opponent's half, then yeah, they'll be doing that in their battle round 3 without much objection from the Eagle Marines. This squad who already hold that objective and will do unless it's taken off them. They have engaged on all fronts as an objective, so they need to get into this quarter, so will do, and try and put some fire down onto the Terminators, maybe ping another wound off the last wound off the already injured Terminator. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. So this is the end of the command phase for the intercessors, well, Eagle Marines, and we'll see what happens in the movement phase. Okay, here we have the end of the movement phase for the Eagle Marines. So smaller combat squad moved up, ready to take that objective, and in their shooting phase do some damage to the Marines already holding it. I realised that the captain had an assault weapon, so he could advance and shoot. So he advanced. Can't remember how many inches now, but he managed. I think it was an extra 4, so he went up 10 inches, and he's ready to charge and do some damage himself into the Marines. But however many there'll be left, I'm not sure, because these Marines moved out of the ruins and came within half range for their bolters, bolt rifles at the black-clad intercessors. So they should do some work as well, especially if they choose to rapid fire their shoot twice their weapons with the stratagem. And then over here, bearing in mind that the second objective for engaging on fronts, and they can move off an objective and still hold it. They've advanced, so they won't be doing anything else this turn, but they rolled a 6, so they've legged it up, and with the ruins ahead of them, they've got half an eye on the objective there. But the Marines may not know there's a teleport Homer. I think I said at the beginning of the battle I've never used one before, and I'll just read exactly what it says. But if these Marines are coming back to take that objective, Terminators might have something to say about it, but you know, it's not the Death Watch turn at the moment, but they've got their own ambitions to seize the Eagle Marines' home objective, of course. So that's the end of the movement phase, and we'll come back after the shooting phase. Okay, so after the shooting phase, the 3 intercessors at the front completely whiffed, didn't do any damage. The 3 shots from the captain, again, didn't do any damage. There were 2 crack grenades and 3 bolt rifles coming in, and even 2 CP to shoot again. Only managed to kill 2 of the Marines ahead of them, but it has evened up the numbers, so it is an even fight. Captain and 3 intercessors each, so we'll see how that plays out. I think I realised that to bring these into half range was probably unnecessary, because they stayed still, so they could shoot twice if they'd have remained where they were, rather than coming to half range and shoot twice with their rapid fire weapons. I don't think they get the double bonus for bolter discipline. So yeah, the unit over in the far right that's advanced could not shoot. There's no assault weapons in that squad. So that ends the shooting phase, and we'll go into the charge phase for the Eagle Marines. Okay, end of the charge phase, and it's a debate, but anyway, the 2 casualties removed by the Death Watch meant that the squad of intercessors needed a 5 to get in, and they whiffed and got a 4, tripping over their shoelaces and failing to make the charge. I'm not doing command re-rolls on this, so I have to stay where they are. Debating whether to not the captain to go in, but yeah, he charged, he's in, and yeah, he'll pile in and fight and see how he gets on against those Marines. Okay, this is the end of the charge phase, and I really am a bit woolly here, but the captain at the beginning of the fight phase had to pile in. So he piled in within 3 inches, tagging 2 intercessors. But before then, the captain Black did a heroic intervention, so he moved round to engage Tiberius. So yeah, not sure if that's entirely right, but it's what I've done with it. So now the fight phase will begin with the unit that charged, so that's the captain. So he'll have to decide if he's going to put all his attacks into the intercessors or into the Terminator captain there. So come back to you at the end of the fight phase. Okay, end of the fight phase. Tiberius cut down 1 Marine. He did whiff at his attacks. I think had 6 attacks and 3 of them were 1s. But he managed to cut down a Marine, and in return the 2 Marines, which for some reason I think I took off the sergeant, so yeah, I was honest with myself and just had them as 4 attacks for being charged. And yeah, the combat knives bounced off the armour Indomitus, so they didn't score any wounds back. And then the Terminator captain, similarly his power sword with 5 attacks failed to breach the armour Indomitus. So and I chose not to use the once per battle 3+ invulnerable. He just used his 4+ invulnerable, and amazingly rolled a 5 and a 6, so he didn't take any wounds. But that that concludes the fight phase. I think that concludes the turn 3 for the Eagle Marines. So yeah, we'll go back and see the Death Watch, but I think before we do that, I'll just double check to see, because he did go over the line and these Marines are over here, see if the could score a secondary for engage on all fronts. Okay, here we are at the command phase for the Death Watch turn 3, and Farius Black is in combat, and his plans for this battle round. Well, I was just getting the command point for being battle forged, so I think it's up to about 13-14 now. The score for primaries would just be 5 for the one in the backfield, because no longer controlling that one. The Eagle Marines have basically seized it, and the models are not in range of the objective any longer. Still no chance of getting secondaries this turn, unless he achieves Slay the Warlord. Again, I need to double check the line breaker criteria to see if that can be achieved possibly by the Terminators this turn, and then obviously Surgical Assault is to achieve that objective. Now, I did check the rules for the homing beacon, and yeah, as we're in battle round 3, it would have to be the beginning of movement phase 4, the Terminators would disappear, and then at the beginning of 5 they'd reappear here, which could make them take it from the Eagle Marines if they do succeed in getting this far. But at a movement of 5, or maybe in advance, can these Terminators get that objective and then teleport back to reclaim this one at the end of the game? We shall see. Anyway, that's preamble for the command phase. We'll move on to the movement phase for the Death Watch here in turn 3. Okay, just double checked a couple of things, and yes, the Terminators could not achieve that objective. The hedgerows reduced their movement by 2 inches, even with a roll of a 6 on the advance, and I wouldn't have been doing command re-rolls that have never got there. So at the beginning of turn 4, if they are going to disappear and head back to the homing beacon, to be there at the beginning of turn 5, yeah, they've run out of turns. So they're going to do some damage over here. The other thing I just double checked is line breaker. You have to have 2 units wholly within the opponent's opponent's deployment zone, which is, you know, effectively just beyond the building edges, the front of the buildings as we can see them, and they're not going to get 2 units there unless, you know, what's left of these 2 units do some good work this turn and can leg it up to that corner. But yeah, 2 turns to achieve that is asking a lot, I think. But it's the end of the movement phase. We'll go on to the shooting phase for the Death Watch. Okay, end of the shooting phase. Terminators shot everything into the squad there. 2 heavy flamers felled 3, and then the storm bolters felled another 1.5. So there's 1-on-1 wound. A sergeant threw a crack grenade in, which hit and wounded, but got saved. So that was the end of the shooting phase for the Death Watch. I'll come into no charges, so I'll be straight into the fight phase to see how this plays out. Okay, so that was a thing. So starting with Tiberius, he put all his attacks into the intercessors, thinking he might kill both, might kill 1.5, but no. 5 attacks went in, and 4 of them hit, and then 2 of them wounded, and saves rolled 6 pluses, and the intercessors rolled double 6. So the captain failed to do anything again, and it's becoming a habit with Tiberius. I think he's I think he needs a change of luck, because of every time I've fielded him, I think in 8th and 9th edition, he's done really badly in combat, and yeah, maybe his luck will change, but not this game. So attacks back from the Death Watch, see how that plays out. Okay, so the Death Watch attacks were ineffectual. The Sergeant fought first, in came a load of attacks, but the attacks resulted in 2 wounds, and the Armour Indomitus was fired up for a 3+ invulnerable, but wasn't required because the Tiberius would have saved it on his ordinary invulnerable save of 4+. The Intercessors again came in, managed to do some woos, forced some saves, but the armour saves were made by Tiberius. So I think that's the end of the shooting, the charge and the fight phase. So just the morale phase to go, and I think we're not going to roll for that guy. We're just going to pay the 2 CP and auto pass him, and yeah, using the Adept of the Codex Warlord trait, see if the captain can get those back. But that'll be the end of the Death Watch turn 3, and again no secondaries achieved this turn. So we'll go over to the battle round 4 and see how Tiberius responds. Okay, battle round 4. So it's turn 4 for the Eagle Marines, and Tiberius there in combat, and yeah, his men controlling this board at the moment. So at the beginning of this turn, he scored the full 15 for the primary objectives, for holding 1, holding 2, holding more, and at the end of this turn he'll score another 3 for engaging all fronts. I think he's going to fall out of combat and ask the lone intercessor there to join his mates from his original squad in order to throw some fire at the intercessors and captain and see if they can do some damage there. I think his plan for these guys is to maybe advance again and leg it towards that objective. I'm sure that the Terminators will focus their attention on them, but even if they wipe them out in the 5th battle round and the Terminators recover the objective for the Death Watch, I think the game's lost, but we'll see how it plays out. So that's the end of the command phase, and we'll see how it looks at the end of the turn 4 movement phase for the Eagle Marines. Okay, end of the movement phase for Eagle Marines. The intercessors there shuffled up, joined by their colleague who's going to throw some fire at the intercessors and captain ahead. I think I'll have to double check the lookouts rule means that there's only 2 models and therefore the character can be targeted, but I'll double check that rule. A couple of crack grenades into the Terminator might damage him, and a few bolt rounds from the intercessors might fell 1 or 2 of the other black clad intercessors on this side of the board. The intercessors over here did advance through the ruin, only rolled a 2, which means that even in turn 5, when they get to this objective, they won't have it at the start of their command phase, so can't claim it, but they will deny it at the start of turn 5 for the Death Watch. But as they score their primaries at the end of their turn now, for turn 5, we're down to models, and yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Just for points, because I think the Eagle Marines are running away with it now. Yeah, we'll move on to the shooting phase for the Eagle Marines. Okay, so that was the end of the shooting phase. The intercessor squad completely messed it up. There was a single crack grenade came in from the guy at the back who was able to target the captain of the Death Watch, because although he's not the nearest target, there aren't 3 models or a vehicle or a monster near him, so he's targetable. That's my understanding of the rule. So the crack grenade bounced off him, and then the 3 intercessors shot at the other intercessors, and yeah, lots of 1s and 2s, and stupidly I moved the captain away from reroll 1s, so they did nothing. But the captain, who's inherited for the Primarch, fired his bolt rifle at the intercessors, or mastercrafted auto bolt rifle, 3 shots, and hit it on 3s because he fell back, and managed to take 1 wound off 1 intercessor. So that ends the shooting phase for the Eagle Marines, and end of their turn. So we're going to turn 4 for the Death Watch and see what that brings. Okay, so that wasn't quite the end of the Eagle Marines shooting phase, because they paid the 2 CP to rapid fire again with the intercessors, and I remembered to use the Warlord trait, and one of those CP was refunded. But again, crack grenade went to the captain and failed to cause any wounds. The intercessors fired at the other intercessors and managed to score 2 wounds, which felled one of the intercessors and put the other one on 1 wound. And I'm not sure at the end of the last segment why I said it had gone to Death Watch turn, because of course it's the charge phase for the Eagle Marines, and I think that they are going to charge the intercessor and captain ahead of them, although that would mean that there'd only been 2 quarters from engaging all fronts if they make that charge. So maybe they're going to stay put, and at the end of the turn they'll score. They're in 3 table quarters currently, since there's no one in this quarter, so I think that'll give them 2 points. So I think they're going to stay put. So it is now, talk myself into it, it is now the Death Watch turn 4. Okay, Death Watch turn 4. Just a quick note, there was no morale to take for the Intercessor squad because they lost 1 model, and yeah, even if they rolled a 6 plus 1 is 7, which they'd be fine. So what is Captain Black's plan for the Death Watch in this turn? Well, I think for him and the Intercessor, they've only got the chance of slay the Warlord if they can take down Captain Tiberius, but yeah, with he's already used his armour Indomitus 3+ invulnerable, but with a 4+ invuln, he might survive still, but see how that plays out. And yeah, being turn 4, the Terminators will probably, because I want to give it a go, disappear and use the teleport Homer, just to see how that plays out. Anyway, that's the end of the command phase, and we will move on to the movement phase for the Death Watch. Yep, pretty short and sweet. End of the movement phase. Captain Black and his Intercessor stay put. They're going to try and shoot and charge the Captain Tiberius this turn. The Terminators disappeared into the teleportarium and they're going to come back down here in turn 5, where they may meet the Intercessors. See how that plays out. Anyway, that's the end of the movement phase, and I'll now play out the shooting phase, turn 4 for the Death Watch. Okay, end of the shooting phase, the Captain and the Intercessor decided to target the Intercessors in front of them, and they managed to, well, the Captain didn't manage to do anything. His shots resulted in 2 wounds, but on a double 6, the Intercessor saved those wounds, and the other Intercessor shot at the Intercessor's first time. He failed to score any wounds, but then I used 2 CP to rapid fire just him. Seems a bit of a waste, but I'm remembering these things as we go. And he managed to take 1 wound off the already injured Intercessor, causing him to become a casualty. So that's the end of the shooting phase for the Death Watch. Next we'll have the charge phase. Okay, after the charge phase, the Captain Black declared a charge on Captain Tiberius, and Tiberius paid a CP to Overwatch, didn't refund it. His Overwatch was ineffectual, worth to go, and then the other Marine charged in. So both units have charged, and we'll get to fight. I'll see you at the end of the fight phase. Okay, end of the fight phase. Captain Black put his attacks into Tiberius and managed to cause him 1 wound. The intercessor that charged in, his attacks bounced off the armour of the Eagle Marines captain, and in retaliation the captain put all his attacks into the intercessor, and yeah, I think he scored 2 wounds, but there was only 1 wound remaining on that intercessor, so he's become a casualty. So I think that is the end of the fight phase for the Death Watch, and I think that is the end of battle round 4. Okay, here we are in the battle round 5, and it's the command phase for the Eagle Marines. They've gained another CP. I think they're still on 12-13 CP. Not sure, but I suppose as I escalate the battles, more CP will be used more regularly, if I can remember them. This is the point of the exercise. Not sure how well it's going so far, but a little bit more is being remembered. Also, because of 1, 2, 3 primary objectives being held by the Eagle Marines, they scored another 15 points for this final battle round for the primaries. At the end of the last turn, they scored just 2 points for engaging all fronts, so they've scored 5 so far on that secondary, and then nothing for assassinate yet, which is scored at the end of the battle. But the surgical assault, scored at the end of the turn, may be on if the intercessor squad can go and achieve that objective. We'll see how that plays out, but this is the end of the command phase. We'll go on to the movement phase for the Eagle Marines. End of the movement phase. These 3 have stood still. The captain broke out of combat again, so fall back and shoot, inherited the Primarch tactics, but it also means that the captain can be targeted by these lads that moved through the ruin to claim this objective, which is the mission specific objective to capture the enemy's objective. So they should get the points for that at the end of their turn, but in the meantime they'll be able to shoot at the Terminator captain there, and maybe get the assassinate secondary objective as well. So we'll see how that plays out. This is the end of the movement phase for the Eagle Marines. So just midway through the shooting phase, and Captain Tiberius, who fell back, shot his mastercrafted auto bolt rifle at -1 to hit, failed to score any wounds, but the 3 intercessors at that range, even though again they're not in range of re-rolling ones, and I think there was a 1 in the roll, but the 3 of them did manage to take 2 wounds off the captain, who rolled 2 ones for his armour saves, and he's down to 5 wounds. So with this lot firing at him, and with the 2 CP for rapid fire at the end of the shooting phase, see if they can chew through the 5 remaining wounds. Okay, I'll learn as I go. So the Ultramarines can, as part of their chapter tactics, count as stationary if they've moved. As the squad is more than half distance from the captain, they would have normally only been able to shoot once because they moved and because they're more than half distance. However, the Ultramarine chapter tactic is only active is only used when tactical doctrine is active, and as we are now in battle round 5 and it's assault doctrine that's active, the adaptive strategy tactic can be used for 2 CP, but it needs to be done in the command phase. So slight error, but I'm going to use it and try and remember it, so that from turn 4 onwards my Marines can move and shoot as if it's the tactical, and it will also give them an additional -1 AP, as for this core unit they are in tactical doctrine for this turn. So even first round of firing, before I do rapid fire, there's 16 shots coming in to the Terminator captain. Okay, just midway through this now. So the first lot of 16 shots took 3 wounds off, so he's down to 2 wounds. So there's another 16 shots coming in, and just incidentally, so I've remembered it, I'll try and keep remembering it. The adaptive strategy roll resulted in no refund of CP by Tiberius. However, the 2 CP spent on rapid fire, he has just refunded one of those CP spent. And again, I've kind of lost track of CP for this game now. Each army's on 10 plus. So let's see how the Marines do when they rapid fire into the Terminator captain. So the intercessors managed to take the remaining wounds off the Terminator captain, bringing him down, and so that's pretty much the end of the battle so far as the Eagle Marines are concerned. So in total they got 45 for their primary objectives and 15 for their secondary objectives, because they did get assassinate, which is an end of battle, 5 points per character. There was only 1 character, so they got their 5 points. They got another 2 for engaging all fronts at the end of their turn, and they did achieve the surgical assault, which was 5 points for controlling the objective in the opponent's deployment zone. So in total, with a painting bonus, that's 70 points achieved for the Eagle Marines in this game. but the Death Watch still have to play out their turn, and I want to see what happens when the Terminators use their teleport homer, land on this part of the board, and they might wipe out this unit. They'll certainly reclaim this objective at the end of their turn, but that would be the only 5 points for primary objectives, because they're not currently holding or haven't held any other objectives on the board, and their other objectives are not achievable now. Certainly not going to slay the Warlord, and not going to achieve the mission specific one, and Line Breaker is but a distant memory. I'm going to play it out till the end of the battle and do a summary. Okay, here we are in the command phase of the Death Watch turn 5, and they have not got a single model on the board. They will have when the Terminators come in, and I've read what the Hammer Beacon does, and yeah, I assume that it would need to be within a radius of the Hammer Beacon, but it just says anywhere in the deployment zone, 9 inches from the enemy, so we'll probably drop about here. So yeah, we'll see how this plays out. Without Captain Black on the board, not a lot they can do. They're not going to score any for primaries because there's no models on the board. The only secondary that oh no, primaries are scored at the end of this turn, so they could score that one. There's 5 wounds left on the captain. I don't think they've got enough firepower to they could outnumber the model count if they take, so there's 6 Terminators. If they take out 3 of the intercessors, then they'll have more models. I'll have to check objectives secured, but I think it says it's infantry models, and I think Terminators are infantry, or is it troops? I think it's troops and Terminators are elite. I'll have to double check that rule. Anyway, if the Terminators come in, and they would then therefore have to wipe out the intercessors, to get 5 points, but I think slay the Warlord is 6 points, so they might be better off targeting the captain. Get 6 points as a final turn instead of 5. Incidentally, I think I referred in the last section about assassinate being 5 points, and it's not, it's only 3 points, but I did total it up to correctly, and the Eagle Marines are got 70 points. So we'll see how the final turn plays out as we go into movement phase for the Death Watch. Okay, as you can see, the Terminators have decided to come in their deployment zone, more than 9 inches away from enemy models. Even if they'd wiped out all of the intercessors, which would be 16 wounds to chew through, they'd have only scored 5 points. So they're going to go for Slay the Warlord and try and kill Tiberius Calgar. So we'll see how that plays out as we go into the shooting phase in turn 5 for the Death Watch. Okay, mid-shooting phase, the 2 heavy flamers came in and have took 2 wounds off the captain already. He put a transhuman on himself using 1 CP, and meant the flamers were hitting on 4s. They managed to get a decent roll for a number of auto hits, 10 auto hits in total, but yeah, the transhuman saved him on the wound roll, and he's down to 3 wounds, and now it's the 3 bolters, so it's 3 storm bolters that's going to shoot and see if they can pull a few points out of the bag for the Death Watch. Okay, the storm bolters managed to chip 1 more wound off the captain, so nothing else to fire. End of the turn 5 for the Death Watch, end of the game, and it's a resounding victory for the Eagle Marines. In total, the Death Watch got 15 points for primaries, purely because the objective in their deployment zone was in their possession for 3 consecutive battle rounds, 10 for painted bonus, so a total of 25 points for the Death Watch against 70 points for the Eagle Marines. I'll come back with a quick summary and a roundup, and that will be the end of this first battle. Okay, so this is the end of battle summary, and it was a resounding victory for the Eagle Marines, which, you know, for the first battle they went first. They had the first turn. Might have been decisive in this game. One thing that I didn't mention at the start was that the Death Watch actually had equivalent of 40 power level, 603 points, whereas the Eagle Marines had 25 power level, 500 points. So although I was initially doing, you know, a 500 point game, I didn't want to mess about with my units for the Death Watch, so I just took a captain and, you know, a couple of the squads to face the Eagle Marines captain and his 2 Primaris squads. But when I put the points through Battle Scribe, the Death Watch actually had 603 points, but they still lost badly. For the next game, which is the Outriders mission in the main rule book, I'm just going to add 1 unit each to the forces and see how that plays out. I'm not going to restrict on points, it's going to be what looks right, what feels right, and because the Death Watch army I have, again, it can be seen on a previous video, it'll probably be another unit of Terminators, and maybe this time round the Terminators can use what they're good at, which is appearing behind enemy lines, which would give them a chance of scoring some points, depending on the mission objectives, which I haven't read through yet. But yeah, a couple of squads of Terminators. I know that the heavy flamers and the storm bolters can do some damage certainly against intercessors. So yeah, 2 squads of Terminators, the captain and the 2 5-man units of intercessors, and then I'll decide what to bring for the Eagle Warriors as their additional unit choice. So anyway, this ends this first battle in the series that I'm calling the Fog of War. Thanks for watching.